What's up everybody, Chris back with another Dragon Ball Super video, and today we're going to be going over my Super Saiyan God Trunks list that I have been running, more of an updated version from the first video that I put out, and I think I like this version a little bit more. Currently this is a 60 card build, built for best of one. Don't have a pre-side deck list to go over just because that changes depending on where I go, but I do think this list is pretty powerful. Very good definition of what a mid-range deck that's not Gogeta could possibly look like. I don't think Gogeta is going to be lasting too much longer. So people should get comfortable with playing Trunks. I think Trunks is going to be the future black Saiyan leader that people are going to be playing on. So get on the leader early, get some practice with it. It's going to be worth it. So make sure you guys like and subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. Let me know what you guys think of the deck, of the content, everything. Make sure you guys are letting me know how you guys feel. And you guys want to support the channel, obviously Patreon link down below. You guys can check out everything on there. So Trunks here, activate main. You choose one black card in your hand, you send it to the warp, and you draw two. Very good. You don't have to attack the draw. We all love that. Awaken at that 4 life or less, or if you have 5 or more Saiyan cards in your warp, you may resend one, draw one, and flip this card over. And on this side, whenever you attack, you draw 2. Send 1 card to the warp. Second auto, whenever one of your opponents attacks a unison, you get to resend this card. Since that's in the auto window, you can actually then activate blocker right afterwards. So if your opponent wants to attack the unison, you can restand your leader and then block with it. Very, very powerful. Last effect, Spear Boost 1. Activate main, 1 colorless energy. Place 2 black cards from your warp in the owner's drop area, and you choose one of your opponent's battle cards and send it to the owner's warp. Just allows you to, remove battle cards on boards. Basically like a max power Kamehameha on your leader, which is very powerful. It does come up quite a bit. You kind of use it the end of the turn just to kind of remove some stuff. So this is sort of like I said, the idea of this deck is to be sort of an aggro deck, where you're swinging with a lot of small battle cards very, very early. So it's kind of a little bit of a different list than what you probably have seen from other decks here. So this is going to be pretty much the same here. We have the Self-Awakener guys, all the challenging a demon gods. So we have 3 Goten and 4 Gohan. Both of these can be played for 1 energy. If your leader is a Trunks Xeno, and you can play it from the warp for 1 energy. When both of these cards are played, you may send up to the top 3 cards of your deck to the warp, essentially being a Gogeta effect. The idea of this card is to help you self-awaken, and on turn 1 you can pitch it to draw 2 and then play it out. Gives you some pretty good value there. Gohan here as a blocker, which is why we run 4 of it. Goten at 3, activate battle, Spear Boost 1. This card gains crit. So there are some particular matchups where this actually can be pretty beneficial, being able to swing crit very, very early. It's going to get a card out of your opponent's hand, or they're just not going to be able to get the card off their life. So this is very, very good to run. Also, it is activate battle, and there's one unison in particular that has a Spear Boost effect. So you don't even have to swing with this effect to actually get the activate battle on, because it's just off of any card. So it's just while you're in that step. So this is the card to keep in mind. We're going to go over it a little bit later with one of the cards we run in the deck. Next is going to be the primary engine of the deck, Son Goku and Vegeta Jr. Unison. This card is absolutely snapped broken in this deck. I absolutely love this card. This is the skillless unison that everybody should know about already, but you can +1 to give this card and all your 1-drop unisons. I'm sorry, all of your skillless battle cards. I almost said 1-drop skillless cards. All of your skillless battle cards and this card 5k for the turn. -1, you get to play up to 2 1-drop skills from your deck or drop area, and you shuffle your deck if you look through it. -2, you shuffle 2 skillless battle cards from your drop area into your deck and you draw 2. It's an effect. It's something that you can definitely do if you absolutely need to, but it's not necessary. Essentially, we're playing this on turn 1, upticking if we don't get to attack. If we're on attacking turn, we're playing this turn 1, swinging with it, and then minusing instantly to play out 2 skillless cards. And you probably guessed it, we're running Goku and Vegetas. So we run these skillless here, mainly because they're also fusion material for our Thordings. But you basically play the Goku here, the Goku Jr. here, you swing with it, then you -1, play these 2 out, swing 2 more 10Ks, and you have your leader swing. That's 4 10K swings on turn 1. If you get the first swing, which is incredibly powerful. This also allows you to awaken early in some senses. With one of I'll show the card now, which is going to be the Trunks Time Regulator. So this is a 3-drop Overarm for 3, no energy required. You draw 2 and you warp a card from your hand. So essentially what you can do, and this is, it's not something that I'd probably say turn 2 is probably the turn you're going to actually awaken. But whenever this card is sent to the drop area, this card goes to the drop, obviously, and you put 2 of these battle cards on board, right? Let's say turn 1 you played either a Gohan or a Goten here, right? Or you played Goku and Vegeta and you passed, right? You upticked and passed, right? So then you play this. Let's say you have Goten on board, right? So then you swing at this card here, or you -1 and play it. It doesn't really matter, right? So you swing at this card. You play these 2 guys here. You have this on board, right? You swing at this. If this is not in the drop area because it has 2 markers on it, you can activate battle to spirit boost this card. This card will now go to the drop, and then you can combo off the Goku and the Vegeta, which then puts these 2 in the drop. And now you have 3 to where you can Trunks, put these in there, and then warp another Saiyan from your hand. This is turn 2. You've already put 2 Saiyans, hopefully in your warp area off of your leader effect. So then you have 5, and then you can awaken. It's a very actually happens pretty consistently. I may say it's not very often that I don't actually get to hit this play, but it is a very cool little play that you can do just because it does allow you just to add a lot of pressure on turn 2, right? You're swinging with this, 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 and then you're swinging with your leader on your awaken side. It becomes very, very annoying to deal with, right? So that's kind of the play there. Next is going to be the True Fighting Spirits. We have 3 of the Gokus, 2 Vegetas, more fusion materials. Don't really need 4 of this in this deck just because we run the skillless, but 3 is, plenty. And then 2 Vegetas just because blue is a big thing. Blue is actually a big problem for this deck. So being able to establish Vegeta early enough to where they can't remove it, just so you can potentially get 1 use out of the, stopping them from being able to restand stuff, which is pretty powerful. Also, these just allow you to self-awaken. There's turns where there's games where I don't necessarily get 5 Saiyans in my warp on turn 2. So just being able to just use these to take my own life to awaken is also pretty profitable as well. So it just allows you to play a little more aggro if you absolutely need to. For Vegetas, I think that's pretty standard. You're going to run the Vegeta. In this deck, we don't run the Goten, or this particular build, I'm not running Goten just because I am going to get down to 4 life pretty quickly. And I want to be able to use my super combos, just another target for thwarting. I do like Goten better, realistically. I think if... I've played Goten, I feel like Goten's fine, but this in this particular build, I think it's a little more consistent. I need there to be more Trunks Goten targets for me to want to play Trunks Goten a little bit more. So currently, right now, we're gonna try Vegeta. Who knows? Maybe in the next deck profile I do for this deck, I'm gonna be running Goten again. It's very, very possible. Now we have the shiny part of the deck. 4 Thwartings, 3 Beyond All Limits, and 4 of the new Super Saiyan God Trunks. This is your kind of Black Saiyan starter pack. Essentially, you're going to be playing this in a Black Saiyan leader. You have your incredibly powerful 1-drop 25k that warps a card. You have your free 30k body that grabs back any of your cards between 3 and 7 cost. And then you have your 2-drop from the warp deflect dual attack that puts back up to 6 battle cards if you swing twice back into your drop area, or just cards back into your battle cards back into your drop area, so then you can activate your overarm effects. I run 4 of this just so I see it. We are running a 60 card deck, so making sure that we see this card is very, very important. I've had games where when I was running 3, I didn't see it. After like 2 or 3 turns, I'm like, all right, this is actually really bad. I'm not milling any of this cards. I'm not seeing any of it. And then you don't get a chance to actually, resolve the card. So it's very important, I think, to run 4, especially if you're running 60 cards. If you're running like 54, 55, you can probably get away with running 3. And the other Trunks is a Super Saiyan 3 Trunks. This is a 1-drop from the warp. It's a 20k unique. If you have 10 or more black cards in your warp, this card gains double strike. And you have to play it if you have 3 or more energy, and you have to spirit boost as well. So it is important. You do have to actually run a spirit boost, which we don't always have the Goku and Vegeta on board. In this particular build, I do not run the Bardock Unison. I do think Bardock Unison is very important to run in this deck. However, not necessarily needed. In the side deck, I would definitely run the Bardock Unison. But there are times where I can just play Vegeta Goku and just uptick, swing for 15k, and then I can play this, and then I can just spirit boost down. That's fine, right? So there's definitely some uses there. But if you're running one of the 2-drop unisons, obviously this card's a little bit better, but we also need it because it's a Saiyan. This Splot can be swapped out for the 1-drop Gohan barrier for blue, or for the Pan negate as well if you so choose. I just decided to go with Trunks just because I like having the potential double strike. Some defensive cards. We have 2 Super Kamehameha, 2 Kai negates, 1 Bardock the Tenacious, and then 2 of the Quetzalcoatls. This is just kind of our defensive package. Defensive, but more so kind of like taxing on offense. It is more of it is kind of a defensive card in a way, because you're forcing your opponent to warp cards out of their hand in order to defend themselves, which then kind of counteracts what they can do on the back end on the next turn, especially in decks like yellow where they can just play out tons of battle cards for really, really cheap. This card just kind of says you don't really get to activate any of your cards. So good luck if you want to activate Mecha Freeze or Steadfast. You're going to have the more warping cards from your hand. Kamehameha, obviously, stopping floodgates. Just in case we don't see Quetzalcoatl in the drop, we have this that we can grab from our hand. Supreme Kai. In this meta is very good. Being able to stop 2 attacks, potentially 3 if you can combo it off. Very, very good card. Also, you can grab it back off Beyond All Limits, so it's good. And then the other card is going to be Bardock the Tenacious. We only run the 1, but let's stop your opponent from attacking with multiple battle cards. And you only get 1 battle card attack that turn. That's their next turn after this card's played. Then you can't play this card on your next turn. So that's actually something I didn't know until one of the games that I played where I tried to play it on the next turn. So a little bit of a mistake, but that's what we have for the defensive cards. To round out the rest of the Overarm stuff, because you run a few more Overarm cards, we have 2 Secret ID and 2 Fighting Against Fates. This is, I think, pretty standard. Like you can probably take out maybe 1 and 1 and then run the Bardock unisons again if you would like to, but again, we're trying to go more fast, and this just gives us the opportunity to see one of these cards, right? I want to see at least one of these in my hand so I can make the decision if I want to go swing for the 25k dual attack, or I need to clear the board a little bit and then swing for 25k, right? So it just gives you that option, and especially in a 60 card deck, you may only see one of these the entire game. The rest of them may just end up in the warp. So we want to see if we can add at least one of these to our hands. That's why we're running 2 of each of them. Also, they both just look really, really good. So you got that. 1 Kai. This is a slot I would like to potentially try to run 2 of these in. I just felt like 2 just ended up being a little too heavy. So just seeing the 1 is great. If you see it go to the warp, it ends up kind of sucking because then you don't get the double strike effect. So you want to see it, hopefully, if you just can't mill it. 2 Crimson Hero Strike. Mainly for the 10k combo on offense. That's mainly the reason for it. You can combo with this, give it to your leader, warp a battle card higher than your opponent's energy cost, and now you have a 25k leader, potentially 35k double strike if you have that bad boy on there. Also on defense, it's a draw 1. Burst 3 up to 3 cards. If you burst 2 plus putting this in the dropper, you have 3. So now you feel your Overwhelm for your Trunks time regulator, which ends up being pretty helpful. 3 of the Dark Empire negates. No power burst in this deck. I think 3 of this is plenty. Petrification is also not in this current main board, and this is the slot I would probably use for Petrification if you're in a best of 1 pre-side. You keep this card in the main deck, and then you just swap this out for Petrification if your opponent's going to be playing some crazy battle cards, right? So 3 of these cards is very, very good. Final cards, we have 2 of the 8-drop Gogetas. I still think, even though this is kind of a somewhat of an aggro deck, being able to have this card available for any matchups other than blue and yellow is very good. Like this card against green just puts in way too much work. Red, again, you're able to just kind of remove stuff off the board. Any of the weird aggro, weird rogue decks, you can just kind of play this card down, swing, warp cards, swing at battle cards, swing at unison, just get rid of stuff on board. And most decks can't remove this card. It also is a 35k, so like the red Realm of the Gods can't actually clear this card, which is very good. So very, very good card. And then the last is going to be the Kai negate. I actually think, truthfully, I do think Kai is actually better for this deck. Reason is, Pan obviously is more aggressive. I said, before, this is kind of an aggro deck, but Kai does allow you to reset the game in some senses, especially being able to remove a unison. Very, very important. The unison in a lot of decks, like U7, In most blue decks, the Unison is incredibly important. If you can't get past the Unison, sometimes you can't get past them and actually win the game. So being able to play this for 1 energy and then 1 energy again, wiping their entire board, including the Unison. A lot of decks actually can't recover from that fully, so it just gives you kind of an opening window for maybe a turn or two where you can go in and clap them back for game, right? So that's what I have for you guys for the main deck. If I do play this deck at any of my locals here where we do a best of 3 or a best of 1 pre-side, I'll definitely show you guys that list, potentially on here or on the Patreon like I do, where I always share my deck list from my locals. So that is my deck list though for Trunks. I do think this is a slightly better version of Trunks. Like I said, you can play around with some of the tech slots for potentially adding in Bardock Unison. I'd probably say 2 Bardock Unisons probably the most if you want to run it, just because you don't want to have too many uncombable cards in your deck. So thank you guys again for watching. Make sure you guys like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.